how do you lift almost the collective to this state? Because to some extent, equally, you can get a leader who understands this, right? But there has to be some ownership within the senior leadership team or within that there's a collective desire to be an agile learning team or an agile learning organization or a competent learning organization.
So obviously it's not just one thing, it's lots and lots of things.
Yeah.
I would recruit against learning.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. So are people learners? So this is interesting, you know, because I often get called in to recruit, well, not now because I work with younger people, but, you know, we've had a lot of changes with CEOs of our banks, and a group of us would get called in. And, you know, you might ask a question like about leadership, and I might say something like, so what are the last 5 books on leadership you've read? And literally 99% of candidates wouldn't. And they might think of one that they read 20 years ago, you know, and what was it you learned from that? So, you know, what TED Talks you're watching, and what are you following? What podcasts are you listening to, and outside of work? And actually what's fascinating is you can come down to a really small group of people that are actually engaging and learning. Most people aren't. So I'd recruit against it. I think the majority of corporate training is rubbish, genuinely biggest waste of money. I think we need to start with self. So if we want people to be leaderful, then we need to start with self-leadership. My favorite equation in the world, this is the thing people should be teaching in schools, right? I don't know if you can see this. E plus B equals R. Event plus behavior equals result. Let me give you an example. An easy one, an exam. We've all done exams in our lives. Take 100 kids, they're all doing the same exam. So the event is the exam, okay?
Yes.
It's a neutral. Now, I'll often ask when I talk in front of, you know, loads of people, I'll go, so our exam, you know, tell me about exams. And they'll all go, well, they're stressful. And I go, no, an exam is neutral. What makes it stressful is how we choose to think about it. Therefore, the experience doesn't come from the event. The experience comes from how we choose to respond to the event. So take that back to leadership. And, you know, you asked me the question, how do we create a learning organization? We create, or self-leaders, we create that by teaching them this equation. If they recognize that they're creating their life one behavioral response after the other. So if I'd come on this and I'd be like, you know, talking like this, I suspect it might be a 5-minute interview. The event is the interview. I get to choose the result by the behavior I choose. And that is the crux of leadership. Leadership is one behavior after the other.
The result is a result of your behavior, not the event, right?
Every 100% of the time.
Where you're focused and believe there is a gap, if I'm not mistaken, is in the younger generation who are coming into the workplace or are in the workplace and are growing, who don't get taught this. Is that what Ivy House is doing today?
Well, three populations really. So schools, sixth formers, you know, whatever you have, 17, 18-year-olds. Early in career, so graduates, apprenticeships, those kinds of people. And then we have a whole population of high potential emerging leaders. You know, we had 55-year-old on our program, you know, a couple of months ago, because they're leaders of the future. They're not. So our programs are more about what mindset you're turning up with. So, you know, if you come on one of our programs, you're coming because you're prepared to be vulnerable, open, learning, get all the feedback. So those are the populations, but it's really organizations, emerging talent, high potential talent.